Yep, go ahead.
So first of all, thank you so much everyone for joining this session, especially on weekends where everyone is quite occupied with their personal stuff, but still you made it to join the session. So we are really thanking you for that to join on the weekends, and we'll make sure that your time and efforts to join the session won't go in vain. And just a small request, we would like to make the session quite interactive. It's not only we both speaking up the things. We want you to have an equal opportunity to ask and to ask the doubts and make the session interactive. So how can you make it interactive? Like whenever we ask something, so you can just share your reactions. So it will make sure that you're getting the things that we're talking about. And after that, we will keep we'll keep a note of all the questions that you have. We'll try to answer it at regular intervals, or we'll keep it at the end, last 30 minutes.
Aman, sorry to interrupt. Your audio is low.
Is that better enough? I'm trying
Yeah,
my best to
for me it's okay. Yeah, I think if you could maybe, if the audio is still low for you, maybe try rejoining or maybe utilize a headphone. Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, go ahead.
You want me to rejoin?
No, you go ahead.
Okay, so fine. So I was just talking about how you can make the session interactive and when you can ask the question. So just keep your questions parked, and at the end, to the last 30 minutes, we'll try to answer all the questions. And if it's not able, like it's not possible for you to ask the question, you can reach out to us on the social media like LinkedIn or Twitter, or onto the YouTube channel links that you will get. So with that said, let's start. So today we are going to talk about SOQL and basically what it is and all that things we're going to cover. So before that, a quick introduction about us. So this is Amit Singh, Amit Guru, who is 3-time Salesforce MVP. He is a Salesforce technical architect. He is leading the community with his YouTube channel, like a number of contributions he does. He runs the YouTube channel with the name as the Panther, and it has been modified to PantherSchools. We can reach out to him on LinkedIn and also on through the top mate if you have anything related to your career, like if you need career guidance, if you need any kind of mentorship, resume building, you name the services, and he have all the things in his boutique. Okay, so that's it. And also he does the contribution through, he has been a speaker in a number of big events. So I don't need to give much introduction about him. People who are joining, basically, they know very well about Amit Singh. If not, I think this will be a very short introduction about him. But to know more about him, you can check on LinkedIn or on his YouTube channel. With that said, moving on to the main part, I am a Salesforce developer at Twilio. And yeah, this is like, I like learning the new things and contributing it. So I'm a lifetime learner and contributing. So yes, I do write blogs, and I write blogs on, again, Amit Singh's website, which is PantherSchools. So you can find all my blogs on this channel. And also I'm an equal contributor when it comes to being a public speaking or delivering the sessions and all that things. So yeah, this is my LinkedIn handle. You can reach out to me if you have anything related to Salesforce. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. Other than that, one more thing that I wanted to talk about is, like, if you have your interviews around and you have anything to discuss or get to know related to Salesforce, maybe the mock interview, resume building, career guidance, anything that you need, you can reach out to Amit Singh on this top mid. So we'll paste the link in the chat, and the same goes with me as well. So this is my TopMate account, so you can reach out to me on TopMate. I do provide similar services which Amit Guru provides. So yeah, that's a pretty short and simple introduction about both of us. Now we will move on to the next part. So as I said, we are going to talk about SOQL. If you know about SOQL, it's well and good, but we are going to cover right from the scratch and taking it to the advanced level. So to give you a highlight about it, I will covering up the basic part, and Amit Guru will be taking up to the advanced part. He will be covering up the advanced thing that is there in SOQL. So we're requesting you not to miss even a single minute because we have tried to make it as good or as simple as possible. So we'll start. So SOQL is nothing but a query language which has been introduced by Salesforce. So SOQL, the name itself it's an abbreviation for Salesforce Object Query Language. Okay, that means whatever you are. So if someone asks me what is, say, SOQL, so I would have given a simple definition that Salesforce Object Query Language, that means SOQL, is a query language that searches for and retrieves data from Salesforce object. Now, what is object and how it is going to help us? So for that, I have got a simple example. Yeah, so I'll start with this simple example where I'll show you the shopping mall example. And I know you might be quite amazed to say like why I'm bringing the shopping mall example for this. So there is a reason behind that. So I hope everyone has went to a shopping mall, right? And so shopping mall does look something like this, right? Now, just try to understand each of the things that I will be talking about, and then I'll be relating this to with Salesforce. So when I said shopping mall, okay, so when you go to shopping mall, what do you find when you go to shopping mall? There is one big shopping mall, and inside that there are multiple stores, right? There will be some stores which will be having electronic items. There will be some stores which will be having clothes, some other apparel, all that things, right? Now, in that shopping mall, in that all the stores, there are different things are kept, or different things are kept for selling it. Now, you will be the one who will be deciding which particular product or which particular things you want to buy, right? Like suppose if I want to go and buy, I want to buy a laptop. So where will you go? You'll go to a laptop store inside the particular shopping mall. Now you will have n number of laptops there, right? In that also, in the laptop store also, there will be n number of brands. And then you will say, hey, I want a laptop of this particular brand, of this particular specification, so on and so forth, right? Now that particular thing will how is this all related to Salesforce? So this is related to Salesforce because when I talked about shopping mall, so in Salesforce, the shopping mall is nothing but your Salesforce org. Okay, the org in which you are currently practicing or you're working in your real-time project, that org is nothing but your shopping mall. But after that, I talked about something. I said there are stores inside that shopping mall. Clothes stores like apparels, then electronic items, so on and so forth. Okay. So this stores, when I talk about this kind of similar thing is also there in Salesforce. And what is that? That is your objects. Okay, so the stores that you see in the shopping mall are nothing but the objects that you see in your org. Now in shopping mall, so wherever you go at any kind of shopping mall, you will find some of the stores everywhere. Like you will find what do you say, food stores, like somewhere where you will eat something like McD or KFC or anything. Everywhere you find. None of the shopping mall there won't be any shopping mall where there won't be KFC or McDonald's, right? So that are the standard kind of stores we can keep it a consideration, right? In the same way, in Salesforce, we have some standard object as well as some custom object. Okay. So the shopping mall is your org. The stores are nothing but your object. And in that, when I gave the example of McDonald's or KFC, which is available in all the shopping malls, it's again nothing but the standard object that you have. And again, when you set up your store inside a shopping mall, creating your store or creating a place for your store inside a shopping mall is nothing but the custom object that we have in Salesforce. Okay. So I hope this example would make you understand what am I talking about when it comes to org, when it comes to object, so on and so forth. Now, when I gave you the brief description about the objects, why was it needed and why this thing came into picture? Because the first line of the definition which I said is it is a query language that searches for and retrieves data from Salesforce object. So whatever data that you are going to get, right? Data is nothing but records that we call in Salesforce, right? Whatever records that you are going to play with, or whatever the records that you're trying to retrieve and perform anything that you want to do, are going to do on what? Are going to do on Salesforce object. So yes, it is a query language that helps you to search and retrieve the data from the Salesforce object. Okay. Now, how is it different from other languages that we have? So we already have one language which is called SQL. Okay. But there is lot many difference when it comes to SQL and SOQL. SOQL is specifically designed only for Salesforce. So let's go ahead and see the next thing that we want to discuss. So whenever you will be there in Salesforce working on SOQL, you will be seeing this kind of queries. I mean, this is a small syntax. Okay. So it will start with a keyword which says select. Now a question might come to your mind, like what is the select? So select is nothing but a keyword which is specifically designed to get a specific record. Again, coming back to our shopping mall example, you have decided to purchase a laptop. Okay. So where you will enter? You will enter into the laptop store inside the shopping mall. And in that laptop store, you will say, you will already have decided in your mind, hey, I want an HP laptop, or I want MacBook, or I want some other brands. Okay. So what you will do, you will go ahead and you will go to that shopkeeper or that store manager or someone. You will go ahead and you will say, hey, can you get me a laptop from so and so company with so and so configuration? And then you will say, hey, yeah, so this is the particular laptop that you are trying to get it. Okay. So he will ask you for the configuration. You will tell him tell him or her the configuration and the brand that you're looking for, and then he will get that particular laptop to you, right? Now connecting the same thing with our Salesforce, okay, SOQL. So here, if I want to get the same kind of requirement, so like suppose in my Salesforce, I have an object called laptop, and inside that laptop, I want to have a laptop from specific brand. So what I will do, first, I will go to that object, and then I will say what particular brand or what particular thing I want to get. So to reach up to that particular object, we need to write at least first this line of statement. Okay, we'll say select, then the field names or the API names of that field. Actually, it will be field API names, and then the object name. Okay. Now, how do we do that in Salesforce? So let me quickly log in and show you. Well, I'll log in here to my Salesforce org. Now I want to get the records. Okay, so for that I will use SOQL. Now to use also SOQL, before I write the query, I'll tell you two different ways to write the query. Okay, so the first way is, if you want to write a query, you have to go to your developer console. Okay, so developer console is nothing but a place where you will do all the programming, all the code that you are going to write, you will be writing in the developer console. Okay, it's like a kind of an online compiler. Now here, there are two ways to write your SOQL queries. The first and the simplest way is to go through this query editor. If you see this query editor, this is called query editor. Now this query editor is divided into two sections. The first section where you will write the query. And the second section here, if your query is having any syntactical error, that means you have not mentioned the syntax properly. Maybe while writing the query, you have not mentioned the clauses that we have properly, or the field name that you are passing, it's not correct, or the object API name is not correct, then all the syntactical error will be visible here. Once you write the query, then you will click on this execute button, which will help you to get the output of the query that you have mentioned. Then what is the second way? The second way is to call the query or writing the query inside your Apex class or anonymous window. Okay, so anonymous window, I hope you are aware of. If not, It's a kind of place like where you can call your, like suppose you have written any Apex class, okay, and you want to execute it. So you can execute it through your anonymous window, or you can even write a sample query to check whether it's going to get executed properly or not. So first way is through query editor, and the second way is through writing in the inside the Apex class or through the anonymous window. So which is the way we are going to follow? We are going to start with the simple one. First, I'll show you how you can write a query from the query editor. Okay. Now, there is a requirement, like Amit Guru gave me a requirement that, hey, Aman, tell me all the accounts. I want to know how many accounts, or give me all the accounts which are there. Show me all the accounts which are there in this particular org. Okay. So what I will do, so I will just go ahead and I will write select. After you write select, you can write the field names. Okay, which field names? Now, Amit Guru didn't mention which particular field name you want. So after that, I would suggest you to write your object name. So before you write object name, it's important to write the field names. So I'll just write field names because Amit Guru has not mentioned which field names, which field you want to display. Okay. Then you need to mention this keyword which says from. That means from where do you want me to get the records? And after from, you need to mention the object name. So like suppose he said to get the record from account object. So I'll say from account. Okay. Now I'll go ahead and I'll say, hey Amit Guru, which particular fields you want? So Amit Guru said, I want name, ID, and then email, so ID, name, and rating. These three fields, I want to see the records from this three particular field. Now, I don't know what is the API name. So as you all know, there are two things. When you go to an object, there is two things. So like, let's suppose what I'm trying to say here is, if I go to account object here, okay, so in the fields, there are two things. One is called field label and one is called field name. Okay. Now, whenever you write query, you will never pass field label. What you're going to pass is field name. This field name is called as API name. These field names can also be called as API name. So if you see here, the syntax that I've written, select field names or API name. So field names which will be appearing here is nothing but the API name. Now there are two ways to get the field names as well. The first way is going to object manager, going to that specific object, and then finding out the API name. The second and the quick way is to go to your developer console and press the keyword Control-Shift-O, okay, and then type the object name. So like my object name is account. Okay, now I'll just select this account obj and my object will be visible here, and all the fields, okay, all the field API name of the field along with the data type will be visible here. Now a question might come to your mind like, hey Aman, then which will be the efficient way? The best efficient way is this because of two reasons. The first reason, you can directly create your query from here. You don't even need to write the query. Okay, if you have a simple basic query that is needed, you can directly get it from here. How? So Amit Guru said, hey Aman, get me the records from account object. And then I asked him, Amit Guru, which particular fields you want me to show? So Amit Guru said, I want you to show ID, name, and then what was the last one? It was rating. So I will go ahead. I will press on Control key on my keyboard and I will select the field. I'll say ID. And then I will select name. And then I will select rating. So rating is here. You can select these fields and then you can click on query. So your query has been generated. Okay. But as a beginner, if you're someone who has started learning Salesforce, I won't suggest you to do this. Like you can first start making your hands dirty while trying to write more queries from your end instead of going through this. But again, if you want, you can follow this as well. Okay. Now my query is ready. Okay, how did I do it? Again, I just selected the fields by clicking on control button and then selecting the fields, and then I clicked on query. Once I clicked on query, my query has been generated. And then if there is any error, so it will start throwing here. So if I click on execute, so since there was no error, so it didn't throw any error. And if you see, it is showing me all the records which are there in my this specific org. Okay. So this is the basic query, or this is the first line that we have seen here. Okay. After that, so you went to that laptop store, again taking the same example, you went to that laptop store, and then you said, hey, I want laptop of this particular company. Okay. And then this specific brand. The company means that specific brand and this with so and so configuration. So same thing, we can do it here. Like Amit Guru said, give me only the accounts. Okay, I don't want to have all the accounts. I want to see only the accounts whose rating is equal to hot. Okay, so if you see here, there are some of the accounts, not much account, but some of the accounts whose rating is not hot. Okay, so I want to have, as Amit Guru said, that I want to have only the accounts whose rating is hot. Now, what are you doing here? You got a record, inside that you are getting, you are trying to get only the filtered record. When I said I want to get only the account whose rating is equal to hot, I was doing what? I was filtering the record. So to do this filtering, we have a particular keyword or a clause which is called as where clause. Okay, so where clause, you will write the select, then the API name or the field names of the object, then from and the object name. After that, you will write where. That means from which, what is the condition or what is the place where you can get the filtered out records. Okay, so that's what I'll do it here. I'll go to my developer console, and as Amit Guru said, that give me the records only whose rating is hot. So how will I do it? I will write where. Okay, and then I'll say the field name. So the field name is rating. I'll copy this and paste it. And then I'll pass rating equal to, okay. And then within the single quote. Why? Because rating is rating field of which data type? So rating is of pick list. A pick list is nothing but a string. So I'll pass here rating as hot. And now I'll click on execute. So it is showing me all the accounts whose rating is equal to hot. Okay. Now, again, the requirement has increased. Now he is saying, I want the account whose rating is equal to hot. Okay. And name starts with test, or name is equal to test. Okay. He said, I want the accounts whose rating is equal to hot and name is equal to test. Okay. Now, again, the condition has increased. Now there is more than one condition. So to get more than one condition, we will use what? Operators. So we know the operators, or like we have AND operator and OR operators, not operators. So there are a number of operators are there. But here, looking at this particular requirement, which is set, we are going to use what? We are going to use AND operator. So how do we use AND operator? We use double ampersand. Okay, and then I will say and name equals test. Okay, and if I click on execute, so what it is showing? Unknown error. Anyone can tell me what is the problem that I did here? I said double and, but it should not take this. It should at least take this. Okay, double ampersand doesn't work here. Here, the operator that I can use and, if I want to use and, I need to give this A and B and. Okay, so I said give me the account whose rating is equal to hot and name is equal to test. Now if you observe clearly that the output which is shown here, there is test which is of caps on, that is also visible. That means capital test, it is written, everything is written is caps on, that is also visible. And the test which is written in small cap, okay, that is also visible. Now, how is this possible? This is possible because SOQL language is a case insensitive language. When I say case insensitive, that means no matter what values that you're passing, it will consider both as equal. Like even if I say TEST as small, it will give me both the output. Here it is uppercase and here it is lowercase, right? All the characters are in uppercase and here all the characters are in lowercase. But still it is giving me the output because SOQL is a case insensitive language. Okay. With that said, now Amit Guru has again changed the requirement. So when you are working in real-time project, don't get amazed by this matching requirement being changing within 2-3 minutes, because when you are working in the real-time project, you will get such client who will change the requirement in every sprint or in every meeting. Okay. So keeping that thing in mind, I'm creating the situation in such a way that the requirement will be changing. So now again, Amit Guru has changed the requirement and he's saying, get me all the accounts whose name should have at least test in that. Okay. Now you will say, okay, Aman, this is also correct. But if you see the previous record that we got, there were accounts whose name has test ABC and also had test. Now Amit Guru is saying, get me all the accounts whose name contains at least test. It can be at the beginning, it can be in the middle, or it can be at the end. Okay. So in such kind of situation, we will use another clause which is like. Okay. So I will go ahead and I'll say like. So like help us to get the approx characters which I'm entering. So if I say like, then you need to give this % symbol. Can I said, give me all the records which contains name as test. So it can contain test ABC or only test, but it should contain test in the name. Okay, now the requirement has changed. So I'll say like, then single quotes, and within that single quotes, this % at the beginning and % at the end. So I'll tell you why I have given % at the beginning and the end. But first, let's check whether it's coming or not. So I'll just, if you see the first character I gave in small and then I gave in caps. Let's see if it will show the output or not. So if I click on execute now, it is giving me all the records, okay, which contains name as test. Okay. Now, if the requirement changes and if they say that I want all the records whose starting with test, okay, they should have test only at the starting. At the end, I don't know, whatever it is, it's fine. But at the starting, I want only test. Okay. So what I can do, I can remove this %. Now what does % act as? This % act as escape characters. Okay. That means it says, like when Amit, you said that I want the number, all the accounts whose name contains test in it. So name can contain test in the beginning or in the middle, or your first name can be test, or your middle name can be test, or your last name can be test. Okay. But he said, I just want account whose name contains test. Okay. So I thought of a situation that the name can be at the beginning also, test can be at the beginning also of the name, at the middle also, and at the end. If you're not sure where that test can be, then you can go ahead and you can put this % symbol, and then you can pass that keyword which the requirement is asking. But if the requirement was, I want name who's having test only at the beginning, not anywhere else, then what I would have done, I would have removed this %. Removing this % means I want the name test at the beginning only. Okay. So it will start. How will your query work? It will go here. It will say, okay, rating is equal to and name like %, then like, then test. So it is taking TEST at the beginning, and then it says after that I don't mind whatever it is after that test. but at the beginning it should be test. Okay. If such situation is there, if I click on execute, now it is showing me all the records who is having test at the beginning. But what if I wanted the records who is having test at the end? Okay, then I would have written like this: single quotes, percent, and then test, and then close it. No, a percent at the end, because I want test at the end. So if I click on execute now it is giving me 3 records which is having test. Okay, so at the beginning anything it's fine, but it is having test in the end and in the end. Okay, so this is about your AND operator and like. Now, what if I wanted rating can be hot, or name can start, or name can start with test. Okay, then I would have written like this. I would have said rating is equal to hot, or, so this or operator is there, name like test. So it is showing me all the record who's having test in the beginning. Okay, and some records which may or may not have hot as the rating. Fair enough? Any doubts? If you don't have any doubts, you can give us a thumbs up so that we can proceed ahead.
Yeah, please reuse reactions. You can give the thumbs ups or maybe some other emojis that you have. But yeah, we've got. Yep. Yes, go ahead. So Sobhit has one doubt. Yeah, please go ahead. You want me to unmute yourself? Okay. Let me unmute. Yeah, you are unmute now.
Yeah, hi Amit, hi Aman. So, like I wanted to ask, like in the SOQL, if you go back to the dev console, I wanted to ask, like if we could just search test with the T capital instead of all test, is it possible in SOQL or not?
T capital, I mean, acha.
Like only those records which have T capital in the beginning.
Okay.
No, that's not possible. That's as Aman mentioned, right? It's a case insensitive records. If you say T as a caps or a small, it's going to take both.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Yeah, 2 characters are required for SOQL, not sorry, for SOSL, not SOQL. So don't get confused and don't mix up the things.
Thank you.
Yep. Go ahead.
So the next thing that I wanted to show is, like, we have already seen how we can execute a query through the query editor feature in the developer console. I would just give you a highlight on how we can achieve the same thing through our Apex programming, that means through the Apex class. So instead of writing in the Apex class, what I would do is I would just use the anonymous window, because it will be quite easy for me to show you, and it will also save a lot of time and efforts for both of us. Okay. So always remember, whenever you are going to write your SOQL query inside your Apex class, okay, so what you need to do is you need to pass your SOQL query inside square brackets. Okay, like if I want to make use of this query inside my SOQL, sorry, inside my, type this, inside my Apex class. Okay, so what I will do, I'll have to pass in this way. I need to get square brackets. Okay, and then I will pass my query inside this. Okay, now here is a catch. Whenever you write a query, okay, you will then you need to put a semicolon. So it's very much similar to when you write a sentence, at the end you append full stop. So full stop means end of the sentence. In the same way, when you write anything in Apex class, you have to append semicolon at the end. So it means end of the statement. Okay. Now, tell me one thing. This particular record is coming from account object, right? Now, this particular query can return one record, or it can return multiple records, right? So first thing, let's suppose if this query returns only one record. Okay. So what I will have to do, I'll have to create an instance of the object that I'm calling. Okay, because to call anything, you first need to create the instance of it. Okay. So what I'm going to do, let's suppose I'm just getting one record, which is very rare case we do it, but I wanted to show you. So I'll say account ACC, and then I'll pass this query, which is not at all, which is not the case normally happens. Normally, whenever we write the query, it is always bulkified. Okay, but if it is going to return only one record, you can do it like this. But even if it returns one record or it returns multiple record, the best practice is to make your query bulkified or the return whatever you are going to create a variable. So this query is going to return, and this way, whatever it is going to return, I would be storing inside a variable. Okay. So first I will create a variable, and since I am making my query bulkified, I will create a collection for that. Okay. So how will I create a collection? So there are three types of collection: list, set, and map. Normally we use list collection. Okay. But again, based on your requirement, you can decide which kind of collection you want. So I'll just go ahead and the collection, how will I make it? I'll say list and then your object name from where you are going to go through it. Like it is like just assigning the data type. So here the object is account. So I'll say list of account LST ACC. Okay, and then I'll say equals, and then I'll pass this query. Okay, and now I want to check the output of what that is going to return. I want to check the output that it is going to return. So I'll say simple. So as in system dot debug. Okay, the records are and like this. I'll say LST ACC. And now if I click on execute, so here it will give me the output. I'll click on debug only. Okay, and now here it is giving me the output. And I know very well that you might be thinking this output which it is showing here, it's not better as compared to the output which was coming in. Okay. So if you want to get the output in that way, so what we can use? Any idea? You can post your answer in the chat. If I want to see the output in this manner. Yes, thank you, MC Chan. It will be for loops. Okay, so what I will do, I'll just loop over it. I'll say for, and then typecasting account ACC colon, and then inside this I'll pass my list. Okay, and then I'll pass like this. And now if I try to do it, let's see whether I'm doing correct or not. So if I try to execute it, and if I go to my developer console and if I click on debug only, now it is showing me the records. Okay. Now this also you can make it more better in this way by giving each and every, like here, like saying the account name is like that, you can make it account name is, and then I made a mistake there. We should have given this. Dot name. Let's see what it prints now. Now it is running in the infinite loop. So it is taking not infinitely, it is taking time to execute. Now it is showing the account name. Okay. Now each and every field you can get it. Sorry if I said infinite loop, sorry for that. But each and every field that you want to get, you can just copy this and you can see the multiple fields: account name, account rating, and account ID. Like this. Now if I click on debug only, so see account name, and we're going to stick here. Account ID is, account name is, and account rating is. Should be in a better way like this. And I'll go here and I'll click on debug only. And yes. So the account ID is, the account name is, and the account rating. Again, the next record, account ID, account name, account rating. Okay. So these are the two ways, okay, so which can help you to write the query from the query editor and through the developer through the Apex classes. I just wrote it in the anonymous window and show it you, but you can similarly write the same kind of query inside your Apex class and you can execute it. You can check the result. Okay, so this is the thing that I wanted to show you. After that, yes, this important thing. There are two types of query. Like there are two ways to write a SQL query. Not two types of SQL queries. One is called static SQL query, and the another one is dynamic SQL query. Now we wanted to make it very simple and crisp, so we showed you static SQL query. But if time remains, then we'll show you how the dynamic SQL query works, or we'll create another video for that. Because it's very vast concept, it's not a simple one, just passing it inside a string and then showing it. It won't suffice the explanation. Okay, so now this I've already shown you how if the query returns one record and if the query returns multiple records. This I've shown you. And the last thing that I wanted to show you, it's very important. As we all know very well that SOQL Salesforce work on multi-tenant architecture, and in multi-tenant architecture, everyone is having equal amount of resources. And to make sure that no one uses more than the allocated resources, Salesforce have a concept of governor limits. Okay, so in that governor limits, even SOQL have a governor limit. So in one transaction, you cannot use more than 100 SOQL query. So at max, you can use 100 SOQL query. And if you are trying to use more than 100 SOQL queries, it will throw an error, system.limit exception, too many SOQL queries. Okay. And if you want to know, how can I check this? Like, if you want to see what kind of governor limits and what are the things that are available when it comes to governor limits, so you can go here in your developer console, and when you execute, okay, here you can see all the governor limits that are there. Give a sec, I'll just say SQL. So see, in the filter I type SQL and it is showing me there are 100 SQL queries that you can use, okay, in a synchronous call. That is one governor limit. And how many records it can return? So at max, it can return 50,000 records. So whenever you write your SQL query, at max, it can give you the output, or it can show you the records of 500, so 50,000. Okay. Now, next thing, what I wanted to show is best practices. Yes, if you have seen, I have used one for loop. So whenever you are running your SQL query, it is very much important that you use for loop inside, like you use your SQL query. Okay. Always you have to avoid using the SQL query inside the for loop. You should use it outside. So if you see this example that I've shown you, I have queried and I have used this query outside the for loop. I just call the collection variable and then I show the output. Never used inside this. Okay, because all the governor limits which are there, that will get hit, like 100 SQL queries, then DML's governor limit which is there. All that governor limit will start getting hit. So never do that. And it can hamper your performance as well. When I say your performance, it means hampering the performance of the system for which you are building it. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much from my end. If you have any questions, we are good to discuss, or I am good to pass on the baton to Amit. Yes, Shobit again have one doubt. Good to know that. Yes, Shobit. So that you, Amit Guru, is he able to unmute himself?
Hello.
Yes, Amit. Yes, sure.
Hi, Aman. So I wanted to ask, like in the last SOQL query, we declared one variable. What if
Yeah.
we did not get any SOQL rows back in the variable? Like the list account, instead of having a list of account, I keep it as an account and then the variable name.
Sorry, this one what? I didn't get the
Uh,
question.
Yes. So I was saying, like instead of storing it in a list, I keep it as a single account variable. And what if that SOQL query does not returns any rows?
Okay, let's try to do that. If you keep it single, okay.
Yeah, it will throw the exception. But yeah, which exception it is, Aman can show you. Basically, that is SOQL has no rows for assignment. That kind of error you are going to get. And if you're getting more records, then you are going to have SOQL as more than one row. So that kind of things you are going to get. So basically, it is going to give you the error, the exception, and you definitely has to utilize the list. That's the recommendation from my side. You might see multiple codes out there which are using a single query and then they are doing the query.
Right.
So that is basically depends on person to person, but my recommendation is always use a list. Even if you are getting a single record and you know that there is going to be one record, it should always be within a list. And then if you really know that it is definitely going to return one record, maybe you are making a query on a record ID using a record ID. So you can always get that into your like use a get method of list class and then do the further processing, but never recommended to use single assignment. It is not even recommended by Salesforce itself.
Yes, right. I mean, because Amit, I have seen many people writing the storing it in a variable, and on the last in part of the query, they are writing this limit one. So in case
Yeah,
if the yeah.
that I understand. That is going to definitely work as well. As I said, right, there could be many people who are doing this. But my recommendation, if you ask my recommendation, or even in Salesforce, anytime you try to publish an application to Salesforce, App Exchange, it's never going to get your application pass if you are not storing the result in a list, or even if you're not doing a DML in a list. So you should always be using list and then doing all those things. But yeah, if I say, okay, I'm going to have a record ID that always going to have a record ID, it's going to return a record, and I know that it is going to return always a record, I can always use that, but not a good practice.
Okay, sure. Thank you so much.
Yep, you're welcome. Yes, I have asked you to unmute. Please feel free to unmute and then
Hello.
ask your doubt.
Hello, Amit sir. Hello, Aman sir. Sir, I have one question. Like we have written this SOQL query and stored it in variable like first account. So if I use this query in for loop like account ACC colon this query, so sir, how it affect the performance part on DML government limits part?
See, you have not queried it. You have assigned the result which is going to come from this query to this particular list collection.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
You are not querying it. So you have assigned the output which is going to come from this query to the list collection. But if you use this query inside your for loop here, what will happen is each of the time when it get iterated, each time it will keep on querying it. And that will hit the governor limits once you cross the limit of 100. So in each single transaction, you can make a query of 100. You can query 100 times. If you exceed that, it will start doing another. Here, I'm just queried one time. I assigned whatever output it is going to give to this collection, and then I am iterating with it. Whatever value that I got from this query.
Yeah, I'll answer the question,
Thank
Avi. I
you.
think. Yeah, I'll answer. Aman actually has answered in a different way, but your question was completely different.
Yes, thanks, Amit sir.
Yeah. So you're saying that if you want to put this query, the square brackets and the complete query instead of list ACC, right? So there are going to happen two things. One, the heap size, it's definitely going to impact the heap size because the line number 2 is storing the result. So it's going to take the heap size sum of maybe in a bytes or KB. And if you talk about line number 4, when you basically do the query in the for loop itself, like instead of list ACC, Aman, you can copy paste and query, put it over here. Just the query part within the square brackets. You can put it, yeah, instead of list ACC, you can put it there. Where you have put in line number 4, you have seen list ACC, right?
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
You can just put it over here like this. So basically what it is going to do is it is going to query 200 record at once, and then you are going to work with the 200 records. It's again going to query 200 records, and you are going to work on 200 records. So basically it gives you the iterator for 200 record at once, and then those 200 records are going to be manipulated or whatever you want to have, and then again 200 records are going to get from the locator. So if you know the concept of batch apex, most of the people says that it actually returns, the start method actually returns up to 50 million record, but that's not true. It does return the locator of 50 million records, up to 50 million records. And in the execute method, it actually gives you the locator for those record the number of sites that you have given, and then the execute method process. The similar way here, it actually returns the locator, and your locator is going to process 200 record at once, and then it's going to like if your query really returns more than 200 records, it's going to recalculate that locator and you'll get further records. So it's definitely going to, it is mainly for the heap size, and if you really don't want it to store the outcome for that list, and then like this particular piece of code is like displaying some information, but there could be you wanted to have maybe the IDs of the account, and then later on you really don't want any further things from that list, then you can also use this SOQL for loop. So this is known as SOQL for loop. Is it clear?
I just said yes.
Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, Subham has asked to send a message. Could you please create videos on Aura event? Subham, please. Now I don't work with Aura.
And then we see what it says.
Yeah. I really, I like I can create, but I have those events. You can like, I think I have those videos over my channel, SFDC Panther. So you can definitely go there and learn for Aura events. Because to be honest, I have to learn and then then create a videos, and I really don't want to do that because we have LWC now. Yep. So
Yeah. Any more questions? No.
in this session, SOSL are covered. If time permits, we might cover those, but there is still things which are still pending. So Aman, is there anything that you have from your side?
No, that's all from my end. Like, yeah, just I'll stop sharing the screen and we can take on.
Okay, so there are still 2 hours remaining for the session. So let's see what happens. But yeah, first of all, thanks everyone for patiently listening and being a really wonderful audience. And Aman did really a good job for showcasing the basic concept structure of the SOQL. And when it comes to the advanced part, the bouncers, he really sent me, okay, now you take care. I really don't want to. Okay, so he's really a good cricket player. So that's why he just gave me the bouncer.
I won't like to duck it all the balls, so it's better to pass over to the person who's expert at it.
Okay, so first of all, okay, in the chat window, can you put how the juice? Did you really enjoy whatever the Aman had shared? Yes, okay, good. Aman, like, looks like you've got a fan following here. Okay, so yeah, just out of curiosity, I have a question before I get and deep dive into the queries. I'm just going to write a very simple code, okay? And you just need to explain, and anyone who is explaining the correct way, I might give him something, him or her. But that you really have to be tentative, and then you need to tell the correct things, okay? Not you, Aman. So I'm going to open the execute anomalous window. I hope everyone can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I'm going to write just a simple method. Not a simple method, just a simple Apex class. I hope everyone is aware about this line. What does this line means? Can anyone explain me? If you give me the answer, I'll definitely give you something. Static method calling, it creates the instance. I know that it does create the instance. What exactly each and everything is here in this line? I have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 5 things. What it does have?
5 different answers within 5 seconds. Okay.
I've got like 5 different things. If you really have, it is declaring the variable and instantiating the helper, class name, instance, creating the instance, class name, variable, instance of class name, create an instance in heap memory, name of the class, instance name, new keyword, against class name. No, closer to that.
It's very close. Shubham, you're close to the answer.
Okay, so I was just doing this just so that everyone is, because these days in summer, everyone used to sleep at this time. Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, so basically the reason I wanted to have this code over here, or maybe explain this to everyone, because I've seen mostly not many people actually give the correct answer to this. Tanmay somewhere said to closer to, but it did not went there. Okay, now I'm going to itna class default constructor. Harsal says default constructor. So the answers are not actually quite there, but yeah, like Tanmay or Harsal, or he says it's calling default constructors. Somewhere they are right at some part. Okay, so this is the contract trigger helper. This is my class name. Okay, the class that I wanted to. First of all, this particular line is creating the instance of my class and storing the instance into the heap memory, allocating the memory. Okay, Aman, please keep accepting people.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's what I'm doing. Sure.
yeah. And the next thing is that now after you know that this is going to create the instance of your class. Okay, now what it is, this is my class. What it is, this is the name of your instance. Let me write it over here. So first one is class name. Okay, second one is instance name. It could be anything as per your wish. Abracadabra, guli guli chu, kuch bhi. Okay, then this is assignment operator. It's not an equal, it's an assignment operator. Okay, so the third one is assignment operator. Then fourth one is a new keyword that is basically used for creating or creating the instance. So it's a new keyword. Okay, and then next one is the constructor of your class. It's not a default constructor. You can say in certain way that it is a default constructor, but actually it is a constructor. As we have not defined any constructor in a class, that's why we are saying that this is a default constructor, but it is actually a constructor. The reason, if you are having a multiple constructor, it's not going to consider as a default constructor. So it will always be the constructor. Okay. Now, most of the developer says that this is a class name, as I have seen in the answer. It's not a class name, it's a constructor. So that's what basically this line says for you. And if you really want to have maybe whenever now you're trying to create this the class or the object of your class, the part after new keyword, this is not your class name. It is exactly the name of the class, but exactly it's not class, it is a constructor. So that is what I just wanted to have as a maybe refresher. Everyone is awake? Creating new instance of the default class. No, not can the constructor name be? No, it cannot be. So constructor name cannot be different from a class name. It will always be the name of the class. Okay. Now coming to our agenda, SOQL. Now I really has to cover so many things. So Aman said that we've talked about how we can create SOQL, how we can execute SOQL and all those things. Okay. There was a question how we can query multiple fields, not multiple, how we can query all fields in SOQL with single keyword. Okay, in SQL there is a asterisk sign, that is star sign. Okay, that is there you use, and it actually gives you all the fields for that object. But in Salesforce we don't have such concept of having asterisk. But what we have is we have few keywords. Okay, not keywords, few methods. So we can say there is a method called fields. Okay, and as I said, this is a method, it will always be having opening and closing parenthesis. And then here you have to put the fields. What fields you want? Do you want all fields? Yes. From which object you really want? Let's say from account. And if you execute it, select field, SOQL field function. Okay. So if you see here, we've got the error. It says the SOQL field functions must have a limit of at most 200. So basically, when you say fields all, or even you use fields standard or custom, it's going to give you the limit to 200 only. Okay, like you can only get 200 records. That's the limit. So if you see here now, you can see on the top, I've got so many fields on the top, like every single field about that account. Not able to read it properly, but we got all the fields related to that account. There could be some maybe I'll say instance where you really wanted to say only custom fields. Let's say you wanted to query only custom fields. You can query those custom fields, and you can see here, these are all the custom fields under my account record, and the values I'm able to get for some of those records, not for all those records. Okay, total rows I've got 200 because I've got more than 200 records. And maybe if you wanted to query sometimes standard fields that comes out of box from Salesforce, okay, then we are going to use standards within the fields method, and we're going to execute it. Now you see I've got so many standard fields. That's why the view is really not good. Not even I cannot read anything even here, like just some letters A, O, F, S, that kind of things I see. Okay, but there is a catch here. Like if this is okay, if you really wanted to query in your like SOQL editor, or maybe using some extension, you can definitely do that. But when it comes to using this function in your Apex class, you cannot really use it. You can use fields standard, and then maybe you can put something, some other field like this. Like this is going to give you the standard field, and then a custom field. It is going to give you the detail. Okay. You see here, there is a SLA over here. I don't have, yeah, here some of the records has SLA. But you cannot really use this in your Apex. You cannot use this one. This combination you can use in your Apex, like standard field and the custom field. But you cannot use like fields custom, or you cannot use like fields all in your Apex class. The reason, because Salesforce doesn't know how many fields you have in your object, and Salesforce really don't want it to hit the limits of the total characters that SOQL can have. So there is a limit of total characters for a SOQL that you cannot really want it to exceed, because if you went beyond that, you're going to get the error. So, but these are really helpful whenever you're trying to integrate with a system, a third-party system. It's going to be an API call, but again, that API call is only going to give you 200 record at a time. So if you have thousands or millions or billions of record, you have to, now you can imagine how many times you have to do the cycle for 200, 200, and 200 records. So that's why Salesforce really, they have given the ability, but I haven't quite seen using any project. Even Mulesoft and all those projects are not using this. They use some other way to get all the fields and then make the queries. So that's the one thing that we have. Other thing is, now we are going to talk about the later part of the keywords, the clauses that Aman has started with is, let's say that now you've got a very basic query. Okay, I'm going to maybe write a very basic query that Aman did write. Select ID, name, or maybe I'm going to write industry. Okay, from account. So I've got total 252 records. Some of the records has this industry over here. You clearly see here. Okay, and some of the record does not have. Now there is a requirement. The client comes to you and he or she says, okay, could you please give me the list of all the records? Maybe say, give me the ID, name, their industry, phone, or rating. Give me the account records where, like, how many records of industry, let's say if industry is education, how many records are there for education industry? Or how many records are there for maybe there is a banking, let me type, there is a banking industry in account, okay, there is technology industry. So if a customer comes and say, okay, give me the count of all the records accounts based on industry, how many industry, like which industry has how many records, and so that we can really make the decision which industry we need to invest more and which industry we really need not to tackle that. Okay, we really need not to look into. So you say, okay, you're going to go ahead, execute this query, and then maybe have a pen and paper. You just start writing down 1, 2, 3, 4, like, and then you say, okay, I've got again 1, 2, 3, 4. You just write down and then you do the maths calculation and say, okay, I've got 200 records with education industry, 1 record with banking, and 1 record with technology. This is going to really work with when you have very less number of record, maybe 100, 200, or up to 500. But what if you have millions of record and then you have to find the count of industries, like record industry wide? So how you're going to do that? So there is a keyword, there is a clause called group by. Okay, now you're trying to group the things. Now let me give you a very real-time example that you all will relate. Okay, that is we all are really, I'll say, attracted towards money, right? And we have got the different notes like 100, 50, I think 200, 500, 2000, right? Now, if you really, you have, let's say you have got multiple notes mixed up. Now you wanted to get the notes. Let's say how many 50 rupee notes, how many 200, how many 2000 or 500, right? So you are going to group by, right? Put it into the multiple boxes and group by, and then you can count those together. So that's what we are going to do over here. We are going to use a group by here, but there is a catch. Before we get into there, let's quickly complete another requirement. The customer says that the he or she really wants to have the complete count of a record for a certain object, maybe account or contact. So how you're going to get the count? Okay, so for that there is a, like we have seen, fields is a function. Then similarly there is a function called count. You say count and then you can say which record you really wanted to count. After from, you say account. If you say execute, you're going to see total number of records are 252. You can clearly give, okay, hey, go there, like for this account record I've got 252. Maybe if I say contact, I say I've got 31 records. You can clearly go and give the number within a fraction of seconds, right? Within this count method, we can also have the fields like maybe you say ID. Okay, let's say you wanted to count the ID. Now what happens? Okay, this is the one thing that we have. Now the customer says, okay, give me the count of records, account records where industry is not blank. You have given me the total list are 252. Out of these total, how many records are there where industry is not blank? So there are two things that you can do. You say select count from contact, and maybe you might wanted to put the filter from industry field. You say not equal to, this is a not equal operator. Okay. Or maybe you can use not equal. This is also not equal operator. So you can use any of them and you say not equal to null. And maybe if you execute, you're not going to get the result. The reason is because what it says, let me see if there is a typo mistake, because I really do a lot typo mistake. And if you see here, I tried to make a query on industry, account contact. There is no field on account. Sorry, there is no field industry on contact. That's why we got the error. If we execute, we got there are 232 records, which says that industry is not blank. Now, Aman said that we can have maximum of 50,000 records returned in a SOQL query in an Apex. That is a different thing. But if you really have millions of records, right, your developer console is really not going to work at all. It's going to freeze. It will say no response from server. Then what you will do, because now you're trying to make a filter over here. So what you can do is maybe you can try to use this field API name within the count function itself and then execute it. You got 232 rows. Now what exactly this count function does is, when you use count without any field API name here, it actually going to count all the records that are there in your Salesforce org, okay, for that specific object. But if you use the API name there, it's going to count the records which does have a which does have some value there. So we have given the industry. So industry record need to have the value, at least it could be any value. It need not to have a blank. So that's what it really does from you, and it actually gives you the records. It gives you the count and it gives you the data that you want. Once you're done with this, then there is a requirement which now the customer says, okay, now you've got a total number of records. We have got total number of industry records. Now give me, based on give me how many records I have for specific industries, like for education, for banking or technology, apparel, or maybe pharma. There are so many industries, right? So how you're going to do is with the help of a keyword called group by. As we talked about the example, we are going to do the group by. So what we will do, we will say, okay, select. Instead of industry, we are going to say count ID, because we really wanted to count everything. We really don't want it to provide such field API name which says that which does not have a blank value and then might end up giving the unnecessary result that we cannot maybe that we cannot even trust. Okay, so we'll say count ID from account, and we will say group by, and here you can say industry. And do execute. You see here you've got one, but you really don't know which industry it is. It's just giving me the count. Okay, but I for sure know that this is a education industry. Sorry, yeah, education, because I have that so much record for education industry. So how we do know that this is specific, like how do we know this count is for which industry? Then whatever the field we have added over here in the group by, we can put it over here by a comma, and then you can use execute. Now you see 20 records with blank industry. For apparel to banking to biotechnology to chemicals to all these are here, and you can see that industry records. Now you can get this maybe a screenshot, or maybe you can export it using some tools, using inspect, and then get that it done and then share it with your customer. Now you're done. You're done. Your customer is really happy. Now your customer says, okay, I'm really happy with your work. And then after giving you an appreciation, there is always a work behind that. Okay, so you'll just go there and he or she says, okay, now okay, do me a favor, can you give me the records based on the combination of industry and the type of customer? So if you go to account, okay, maybe if I go to account here, so there is a field called type, right? I can have a type. It could be prospect, customer, direct. Okay, I'm just going to populate some values over here. Now the customer really wants, okay, give me the count of records, count of account records, which really have the combination, like how many, maybe let me first finish this and then I'll explain you what exactly I'm trying to say. Okay, now customer says, okay, give me the account record which have a customer type is customer direct, and then customer direct have it industry as education, then it has banking, then it has apparel, it has technology. So basically the combination of two. For one customer direct type, how many industry counts are there? Then again, channel partner reseller, how many industry counts are there? So now we wanted to group by two fields, and then customer requirement is really clear here. We really need to be careful. We wanted to get the industry count based on the customer type, not the customer type count based on the industry. So our grouping should have been in that order. So how we can do that is, now we can say there is a type field on account. So we say, now I wanted to group by two different fields, type and industry. And then if I execute, you see I've got account, or really earlier we have got, let's say we've got 14 rows, but now we've got 26 row. You see the number of records which are being returned are also being changed. But again, we really don't see the type and industry here. So we can put type and execute. So you see here, for blank customer type and blank industry, there are 18 record. Then for blank customer type, opera industry, there are 1 record. Similarly, for blank customer type, banking industry, there is 1. Then for education and blank customer type, there are 204 records. And if you come here for prospect type of customer, there is no industry, there is 1 record. For prospect type itself, education is the industry, sorry, energy is the industry, and there is 1 record. So when you wanted to have the combination of multiple fields based on certain, now if I change the grouping here, okay, I'm going to change the grouping order. I'm just changing the order. And if you execute this, okay, I have to change the order here. I'm just changing it so that we can see the clear picture. Now you see, now it is working based on the industry. Earlier it was working based on the customer type, now based on the industry. So that's how it does work for you. Okay. So that is about group by clause. Any questions? How do we store it in a list? We are going to see it. Need not to worry about that. Apart from this, any other question? Yeah, and these query also known as aggregate query. Okay, so this is something known as aggregate query. Now this aggregate query, let me take you to the further examples over here. Account field has the field called annual revenue, or maybe let's forget about account. Opportunity field, opportunity object has a field called amount. Okay, here it is. Now there is a requirement where customer says, okay, can you give me the sum of all the accounts based on stage? Okay, it says which stage has which, how much amount I do have. Okay, so how you're going to do? Currently we have, let's say, for example, we are going to do select. Maybe there is a function called sum. Okay, now which field you wanted to do the sum? First, I'm going to write the complete query over here. Okay, we are saying select sum for which field? Now it can have a number field, it can have a currency field, it can have a decimal field, right? So the API name of our amount field on account opportunity is amount, this. Okay, and if you execute it, you've got, this is the total amount of my all opportunities that I have within Salesforce. Now the customer says, okay, this is the total amount. Now give me the amount based on stage. Which stage has how much amount? Hold on, maybe closed won, closed lost, prospecting, negotiation, review. There are multiple stages on opportunity, and customer might have some custom stages as well. So for that, you can have, again, you have to use group by statement, and the API name of your stage field is stage name. And then you execute it. Now you will see the amount is based on the stage. Again, the stage is not there. You have to just put it over here as part of the query. So these all things you can do at the time of writing your Apex code as well. You are going to say you really wanted to write the code here first in the developer console, and then you wanted to write it in your Apex class. And as I started from writing the basic things, like first I got the sum of the amount, and then I went to doing the grouping, right? So that is how you are also going. Just try to break down the like the data that you wanted to do in a SOQL query, and then you are going to easily develop the SOQL query that you want. Okay, now you can have some, you can have minimum. Okay, you can have maximum, you can have average. For minimum and maximum, you can also put the date field or date time field, that you can also put that. So these are like count, sum, minimum, maximum, and average. These are some of the aggregate functions that you can use in a query. And every time you are using these functions, there has to be a group by function, right? If you maybe remove this group by over here, and then like you do like this. Okay, it's going to work for you. But if you really wanted to do by certain fields, then it has to be in a group by. Okay, now there is one catch here. Most of the people get confused, or maybe they have not tried. Let's say if I say account ID here and then try to execute, let's see what happens. We got this error which says that field must be grouped or aggregated account ID. Now what it is saying is, any field that you are using here before the left part of your from, right, it has to be either using an aggregate function like count, average, sum, minimum, maximum, or it has to be here within the group by clause. If it is not, then you cannot use it, because we tried to use account ID, but we have not put it into the group by. But if we put it here in the group by and execute it, you can clearly see now the data is coming up. So before I go ahead, any questions or anything, any confusion or something? M Chan, I'm going to answer your question later on. But for now, is there any other questions? Yes, go ahead, Sobit. Aman, can you unmute?
Yes. Send him a request.
Hello.
Yes, Sohit.
Hi, Amit. Sorry for the background noise. I was just asking, like, just like in the group by we have placed stage name and the account ID. So last time that you wrote the query, it was the permutation, like when the stage name was blank, and for that some account IDs were coming. Similarly, when the stage names were present, but the account, like suppose if any other field was there, then it could be blank. So like one record was coming two times, if I could say in case of permutation. So in here also like account IDs would be repeated itself when we query.
Yeah, the same combination. It's going to be here. If you see here, for some of the opportunities, the account ID is not there. So it's going to do the combination. You see, for now, it's basically ordering here. For prospecting, it has got account ID. Maybe I can make it more clear by writing the account name instead of account ID. So it's going to give you the permutation. It is basically creating a permutation, permutation and combination. You see here, prospecting, it has got account name. For qualification, Dixon PLC. Need analysis, then you see for value proposition, we have got two different opportunity with different against different account. Right, then for ID decision maker, then perception analysis, proposal price quote, and then below we've got closed one. So basically, it is going to do the permutation and combination that you want. Basically, it is going to create the multiple concepts combination and going to give you the details. So the concept is same, no matter what aggregation function you are using and what fields you are using here in the group by section.
So there is one more question by Prathamesh. He says grouping by. Someone has already answered it. Like he's saying group by giving by default result in ascending order. Can we do it in descending order? Just like SQL?
Yes, you can have like this. You have to use a keyword called order by, and then you have two options. Either you say ascending or you say descending. Okay, and then you can just execute. Order by, maybe you have to provide a name field. Which field you really wanted to order, and then do that. Okay, order by field must be grouped or aggregated. Okay, sorry, my bad. It has to, okay, order by, you see here, now it's ordered the account based on the whatever I've said, ascending, earlier was descending, and then I can say ascending. Okay, that's basically happens. You can put this order by clause in a normal query as well. It's need not to be there in the like aggregate query itself. It can be there in the normal query as well. So you can have that in all kind of queries. This group by is something which is really special, and that is not like the similar query. It is a different query that we are going to see. We will see how we can store it in the FS class, but this is basically we had group by. There are two more we'll say clauses that we are going to talk about, but there is a question from Dar, why is this that this is why it's not a record ID, it's a account name. Okay, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the concept of the relationship or not. So an opportunity can or cannot, may or may not be associated with an account. So for some opportunities, there is no account. And for those opportunities, these records are coming as a blank. Record ID cannot be blank for any record. It will always be there. Okay. And yeah, I was reading that question from Rajesh. Can we use where clause after group by? You can use where clause immediately after from object name, but you cannot use anywhere else. You say group by and you say where. I've not tried. Maybe stage name equal to closed one and execute it, you'll get there. So basically this where clause has to be there after the object API name that you provided, like this. And then you can put maybe the limit if you really wanted to put the records, how many records you really wanted to have. So I have got 10 records, maybe I can limit it with 5. And then I can just execute. So limit is again, just to give you an overview, limit is a clause or keyword where you can put limit and then how many number of records you really wanted to return. It could be 5, 10, 1,000, 2,000, 50,000, that kind of things could be there as part of the limit. But again, coming back to our questions, okay, some records might not be related. Okay, why is that? Some records will have a blank ID. Okay, everything is covered. Now let's talk about, okay, we've got this limit. I'm going to remove this limit. Okay, for now. We've got 8 records. Okay, now let's say that you have got these records by stage, and we've got stage wise, right? Stage and account name. These are the grouping that we have, and I'm going to remove this where clause as well so that I can see the complete opportunities. Sorry, the complete opportunities for 22 records. Okay, now now we have got there is a requirement. Let's say for this ID decision maker, maybe not for this, maybe for this closed one. Okay, there are so many records, so maybe I'm going to remove this order by as well for now. The reason I wanted to have all the stages at one place. Okay, now for this closed one, we've got some sort of amount over here. Now maybe you wanted to have a let's say that the subtotal for each combination. For example, for closed one to gain point account, you wanted to have a subtotal, and similarly for closed one, or maybe if I have multiple opportunities for a single account, how I'm going to have that. Okay, so there is some concept called group by roll up. Okay, as its name says, it's going to roll up, right? And then you have to put opening and closing parentheses and provide the field names over here. If you have multiple fields, you need to use the method concept like a stage name and then the field name. And if you execute it, now you will see there is going to be a additional subtotal for every combination. Okay, so you see this is a subtotal for all these closed one account. This has got this, sorry, I think this is the subtotal for our opportunities. Maybe where is that query? We did the sum. Yeah, so this is the subtotal for all your opportunities over here. You see, this is the subtotal for all your opportunities that gives you. It says that, okay, let me you are saying give me the sum of all the opportunities based on stage and account, and also give me the complete sum, the total sum of the opportunity amount that I have for all the opportunities within my Salesforce org. If you really wanted to do that within the same query, you can use group by rollup, and it's going to give you that. And then if you wanted to get the subtotal, maybe you wanted to create the matrix kind of table. Okay, what is that? Let's first basically execute this. There is a keyword called group by cube. Okay, This cube is going to give you the subtotal as well. Now it's going to give you, if you see here, this is the subtotal for all the opportunities. Then it has got subtotal with blank stage name, blank account, sorry, yeah, blank stage name, blank account. Then it is a subtotal with blank stage name, account has gain point. So basically it is giving you now the subtotal for each combination that you have, and then later on you also get the other subtotal. So earlier what we had is we did not had this kind of subtotals, or the combinations we really didn't had. Okay, so that's why we have got this group by cube. It is mainly for creating the matrix kind of things that you really wanted to have. I just wanted to showcase you, but I haven't seen it in the real time. I used it for one time, a long time back, maybe it's been, I think, 5 years when I was working on a requirement when I used this group by cube. But I rarely see that users are using this. Most of the time you are going to use a group by, and that is going to give you the result that you really wanted to have. Okay, yeah, go ahead, Aman, you can unmute him.
Chan, you can.
Hi, Amit.
Yeah.
Can you explain again about rollup? Is not clear.
Rollup just does the roll up of your field that you are doing the aggregation, and gives you one extra row and gives you the complete detail about that. So what here we are doing is we are doing a sum of amount. So what it is going to do is it is going to roll up all these rows that has, and it is going to give you the sum in an extra row, which you can say that this is the sum of your opportunities, the complete opportunities, because we don't have any filter or anything. Or maybe if I put a filter over here, let's say stage name equal to closed one, and then execute it. Where that went? Oh, sorry, my bad. Actually, I executed a wrong query. So I would say group by roll up and execute it. So you can see here now it is rolling up all these rows and then giving you the result. So it is basically, as its name itself indicates, right, roll up. So it's basically rolling up
Showing
whatever the
total,
rows are, yeah, the total of all the records that are coming up in a separate row. That's what it does. And when it comes to group by cube, it actually gives you the sum of all the combinations that we talked about, right? Closed one, what is the account? Then the multiple accounts for that stage. And similarly, the blank, like whatever the combination could be there, it actually creates the combination and gives you that details. So if you really wanted to maybe display this kind of information in a LWC or somewhere else, you can utilize these combination and then work with that.
Okay, what about cube? It is also not clear. Cube also.
Cube is going to give you the sum of each combination. This is rollup gives you the sum of all the rows. Cube gives you the sum of each combination. If you have, now see the first row, if you see, this is having a blank stage and blank account. It gives you the sum of this, say that whatever it has 488, maybe do we have order by something? Okay, it says that there is no stage name, no account name. We got this 48, this is the amount. Similarly, then there is one more like stage which has a blank, and then it also got sorry. This is basically the sum of all these. This really is it really gets confusing. If you do the sum of all these roll up, you're going to good sorry, this part where I can take, okay, just exclude the second row. Okay, and if you do the sum of this and these other the blank that you have got, you will get this, the sum that you have. Similarly, now you will get for a closed one, whatever the blank, you get it over here. For closed one stays, you got the complete, because we even has a filter for closed one. That's why it is giving that kind of thing. But you really are not going to work with this in a real time. So need not to worry about that. Yeah. Anything else?
No.
Okay. So we have got what is a where clause used for limiting queries, group by used to group the records. We have having with group by and it is same as here class. No, not at all. Okay, so I was coming to that query itself. Now let's say that I've given you the requirement for writing. Maybe I'll say, okay, I have got the account records. Now you need to give me the list of account records that are having a duplicate information on the account name. How you are going to write that? Yeah, go ahead and start writing into the chat. If you have to really give me the list of duplicate accounts based on account name, how you're going to write that? What would be your approach, or what would be your query for this to find the duplicate records? Okay, just give it a try. Need not to worry. ID should not be same. ID will always be different for each record, Praneeth. So we cannot say count distinct. There is no such count distinct in Salesforce. Having by close but not there. Yeah, anyone else wanted to give it a try? Aman, you wanted to give it a try?
When I'm into a question, I'm trying it from my end, but I'm not able to get it correct.
Select count name from name, not at all. Yeah, somehow it's maybe I'm going to copy this query from Avi and maybe paste it over here. And let's see what happens. Okay, we got a known error. What did you give me? Okay. Count name select. Is there anything? Okay, it should not be where. Okay. Yeah, now it's good. It says name. Okay. Oh,
Yes, group by and then again
it should be ID. Okay. We've got some of the account. I really don't have. I have only one account which is duplicate. It actually gives me the query from Avi is really giving me at least the records which are having duplicate, but also the records which are not duplicate. So somewhere close, but not exactly there that we are looking for. We've got select count name from not at all, from account where name is no, not at all. Okay, Max created it. That's not going to help. Okay, so this is where it comes the use of having clause in our Salesforce SOQL queries. Okay, now how you will say, okay, now forget about the previous question. Now tell me how you will say that a record is duplicate based on a name. How you are going to say that? Okay, someone is going. We have to compare something. Compare, not at all. A group by name having count ID is greater than 1. Don't need to Google it, man. Just try to answer it here. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to pull your leg. Like somewhere Subham has given the good answer. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So not tell me if I has say, okay, if I say that give me the duplicate account based on name, what would be your approach? What you're going to see? Have the distinct list and check the name. So how you will say, okay, you checked the name, but still how you're going to say that this is a duplicate record? Like how? What would be like something that your inner voice it will say, okay, now this is a duplicate? Come on, guys, I haven't had breakfast, or even I have to cook after this. Okay. Actually, I'm not getting. Aman, you wanted to give it a try?
No.
Okay, Subham, yes. The count should be greater than 1, basically. Okay. Because then only you will say, right, you've got more than one record with the same name. That means it is a duplicate. So that's what we are going to say. We're going to say, okay, now I wanted to count what I really wanted to count is the ID. Okay. then we will say just print the name of the account as well. From account, I'm going to use like this: from account, group by name, having count ID is greater than 1, because then only you will say that it's a duplicate record. Now execute it. You will see now I've got these many 5 records. The count clearly says that, okay, I've got more than 1 records. Okay, and it's going to give me this name with this. If you wanted to have this, you cannot say name. It has to be a aggregate function, and you cannot say having name is count name is greater than 1. If you really wanted to say that, you can also do that. So anything that you put it over here, but I would always prefer to use ID, because we are already grouping by name over here. So the duplicate is really going to get cached by this group name itself, group by clause, and then use having count ID is greater than 1, and then just execute it. You'll get your result. So that is where your having clause comes into the picture. And that is where you can just go ahead and find the duplicate records. So this is an interview question. They might ask, you have to find. Now you can change it. Maybe you can say you wanted to have a duplicate record, contact record based on the email, right? You can change it. You just need to change the fields and then do it. I've got this. Okay. Now there could be more than one fields. Let's say, okay, email and phone should be same. Then you have to do the same thing, like email and phone, do the group by email and phone, and do it. No matter how many fields, or I'll say, yeah, how many fields you really have to. If you see here now, as soon as we say email and phone, it's going to match exactly those two things, email and phone. That's why it says for blank email, blank phone, there are 3 records. For blank email, this phone, there are 3 records. Then for blank email, this phone, there are 4 records. How to query unique field based on unique fields? Fields are always going to be unique. What are you trying to say? Maybe you have something else in mind. Aman, can we unmute?
Yes, records. Let me unmute. Rajesh, you can unmute yourself and ask it out. It's like how to query unique records based on email. That's what we have done, I think.
See, if you have duplicate record based on name, you cannot really query a unique record. But how you can query the records with the certain names, right? Then you can definitely use where clause that Aman has already told in the starting of the session. You can use where clause, put the name of your value, whatever you have. Having count ID equal to 1, that's not going to like really help you to give you the record information. It's just going to give you the count or maybe the name. That's it. What if you really wanted to have the other information that you really have one? Maybe if you say count ID equal to 1, execute it. Definitely it's going to give you the ID of your records based on the name and all those. But that is only going to give you the information. So Ramesh, if you're looking for, sorry, Rajesh, if you're looking for this information where you say you wanted to get the email and field, sorry, email and phone only, then you can definitely use this count ID equal to 1. But if you're looking in a other way where you say, I want email, phone, and some certain other fields, maybe 10 or 20 fields, you cannot really use aggregate queries, because aggregate queries are meant for aggregating the results, maybe count, min, max, sum, average, or maybe grouping the results. That is where the aggregate query comes into the picture. Especially when you try to do the roll-ups, you try to count something, you try to find out the average of certain records, then this aggregate query comes into the picture. Just one question, how many fields? There is no such limit for putting a field, but there is a character limit for SOQL. So you have to be within that character. I believe it's a 6,000 character or something. Not quite sure. You can maybe Google it. But there is a limit of the total number of characters. Like every character counts again the SOQL query limit. So it has not SOQL query limit means SOQL query character limits. Okay, that you can put it over there, and then you can get it. I have tried with querying more than 500 fields and I was able to query it. But if you have field name or API name too big, then it's definitely not going to work. So you have to within that character limit. So that's what we have got for our if we talk about the SOQL queries. Then there is, okay, we covered where, we covered group by, we covered order by, we covered limit. There are one more thing that we have got. Now let's make a very simple query. I'm going to say select ID name from account. Okay, this is just a simple query. I've got 252 records. That's it. Now let's say that there is a requirement that you wanted to skip the first 10 records of your account, and then later you wanted to have those records. What you can do is there is a keyword called offset. You can say offset 10 and then execute it. So what it's going to do is it's going to skip the first 10 records, and it's going to give you the rest results that you wanted to have. Now, if you say maybe offset 30, it's going to exclude those 30 records, the first 30 records, based on how the records are being ordered. Maybe you can have this here, order by maybe created date ASC or something. Okay. Sorry, maybe I have to put it over here. This is really something we have to be careful while putting the clauses. Okay. Offset is going to be after order by. Okay. So we've got this like order by. Now it is quickly giving us based on that records, like based on what order we are doing. Based on that, it's going to skip these number of records which you have given, and it's going to showcase you the next records that you want. Now you can also maybe put the limit here. Let's say limit 10 and execute it. Okay. So now what here we are trying to say here is sometimes what happens whenever you're, let me show you that example. What happens here? Let's say you're trying to create an opportunity. Okay. Opportunity has account lookup. So by default, you see that there are records, or maybe not here. Maybe let's go to accounts, go to the list view, and you see we have got by default, we have got 50 items, right? It basically displays the 50 items for us. It says 50 plus items, and by default it is displaying. Okay. So as soon as I keep scrolling, you see, right, the records are also getting increased here. This known as lazy loading when it comes to Lightning Web Component, but it actually, what it does is it actually gets the records that you really are looking into. Maybe it says, okay, give me the first 10 records and then use the offset and get the other records. So that then is basically where there is a need of skipping some records some records that are previously you have already into your picture, and then you wanted to display those the after records. Then you can do that. Like it's like you have displayed 10 records in a table. When someone clicks on next, you wanted to display next 10 records, right? Then again someone clicks on next, you wanted to display next 10 records. Then you can have this concept of offset. Like by default it could be 0, then it could be 10, 20, 30, and if you click on previous, your offset is going to decrease by 10. So that is where this offset comes into the picture. So that is we have offset. Okay. And then we have something called for. There is a keyword called for, and it has a value of like view, or maybe update, or maybe reference. Okay. And if you I'm not sure it happens, you say for view. Okay. I'm going to tell you what each of these keywords. Okay. For okay, there is update, isn't it? Okay. Yeah. Now let me tell you, this for keyword is basically useful whenever you wanted to tell the system that I wanted to have this query for certain use. Like you really wanted to only display the records in the UI, right, in your Lightning Web Component, and you just have to display the records, and the purpose is only to view the records, right? So you can say, okay, give me the records. I wanted to view it. I really don't want it to modify. I really don't want it to do anything. And you just say, okay, I've got these records. Maybe in Apex class, what happens sometimes, I think some of you might have got into the error where it says that unable to lock row. So what happens, there are two operations which are trying to update the same record. they're trying to lock that record for update operation. Then you need to use this update in your SOQL query that you are trying to make in your class. Here in our query editor, we are not able to use it. The reason is that we really don't have the that kind of error which says that enable to lock row. It actually comes into the Apex whenever two processes are trying to update the same record. So that is where this for clause comes into the picture. Now, I have covered most of the things into the SOQL query except one. But before I cover, I would like to see what is the response. How's the juice? Anyone have any questions or something?
Yeah,
Something that you have in your mind? Yeah.
There is one question from Rajesh. He says, if we do not provide order by for offset, in which order it will escape?
By default, it is, I believe, descending. So if it is you have to check it. I really can't recall on top of my mind. If it is descending, it's going to remove those orders, or if you do provide the order by, then it's going to escape based on that. That's what basically it has.
Okay. The next question is from Shobhit. How to get the third record from the top? How to get the third record from bottom?
Yeah, you can use for bottom. I really don't see that you have an option for using offset, because offset is going to get rid of the records from the top. Okay, like it says that
So from
we
the
talked about.
top, if we use order by ascending and then offset 2, then from the top we will get the third one, and from the bottom I was thinking.
Yes, that's what I was about to tell, that you have to use order by there. Okay, you have to. Yeah, go ahead.
For the bottom one, I think order by descending and then offset 2, and the third from the bottom it will show.
Yeah, basically what we have to do is we might have to maybe do a hit and try, and then based on ascending or descending, whatever it gives you the record, then you can use that. But order by is going to really make a difference here, because then only you're going to say from top and from bottom. So that is where you're going to use that based on order. I want to know about the date title comparison with date time field, like created date, minute, time where it happens. Okay. I really don't want to tell this away. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Subham, is it clear your what is very confusing, Avi? The date, like date literals, or what it is?
Let me allow everyone.
Yeah, I think.
Avi, you have the option to unmute yourself.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes. So previously, I just writing one query like where created date is greater than today, like, or I can say last 2 weeks or last 2 months. So here I'm not able to understand like it is comparing this with the my time zone, like user time zone, or GMT. Like date time is confusing for me, sir.
Okay. Apart from this, whatever we have talked about, it is clear, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Thank God. Yeah. Anyone has? Okay. I want to know. Okay. How to write the SOQL query with a filter of a static test in Apex? Okay. Yeah, we are going to maybe. Could you please explain for clause? Okay. Yeah. So see, you have a for clauses. I'll tell you where you're going to use. You are writing an Apex class. Okay. You are querying the number of records and you wanted to make the manipulation. You wanted to update those, right?
वही बात है.
Sorry.
No, I'm muted. Sorry.
Okay. So what you have to really do is you really have to use a for clause. It is a best practice. You always say that, okay, I wanted to get this record for update. That means I'm querying these records and I'm going to update. So what Salesforce is going to do is they are going to log those reasons. They are going to log these rows for you, for your operation. It is either your class, your trigger, your batch Apex, queuable, could be anything, integration, it could be anything. The Salesforce is going to lock these records for you, And once you are done with the operation, then the other system can only log these records, and you are going to save this. You're not going to get into the error that usually comes unable to lock row. This error comes whenever there is a data migration, or you have two different processes, maybe let's say maybe a flow builder, and then there is a trigger trying to update the same record at the same time. Then unable to lock row error comes into the picture and your operation doesn't get successful. Then you use this for update. And when we talked about for view, there is a for view if you really wanted to query the records only for view, right? Because again, this is also somewhere related to unable to lock row. The reason is that because you did a query and now you are not telling the system what purpose you have made this query, right? So you really have to take this and tell the system that I really wanted to use this record and I'm going to display into the UI. It could be Lightning Web Component, VFPage, or Aura component. Then system will know, okay, that you're not going to perform any manipulation or anything on these records. And then the other system who is trying to lock, they are trying to lock that record for making the manipulation. They will be easily able to manipulate the record without getting into any error. That is where these two, the two reference for there is one more reference. I really haven't used it, and I really don't have the clear picture on this. That's why I don't wanted to basically confuse you all guys with that. So that's why I just covered only two parts, for view and for update. Is it clear, or is it now still confusing?
No, he said it's clear. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, anything else? Definitely we are going to cover a few things. Order of execution is similar to SQL. I think Aman has showcased how it's going to execute in the starting. He's given some syntax, the complete syntax. Aman, are you able to paste it here in the chat maybe?
Yeah, sure. I'll do it right away.
Yeah. It is somehow similar to, or maybe it could be because I really haven't worked on SQL from last 8 years. So I really don't know. Even I forgot how to write SQL.
And me, I started with SOQL directly.
Okay, so you see, this is how it actually works. Yeah, this is how the order of execution is here. Okay. Or how you can put your things. Now, yeah, let's talk about something very specific. Okay, specific thing is polymorphic query. Anyone has idea about what is polymorphic query? Not you. Anyone else? How to fetch child records from parent or parent records from child? Thanks, Rahul. I completely forgot that. I'm going to cover it. Yeah. Before that, I'm going to cover polymorphic query. Someone? When foreign key can be of any object. Try to be in a layman time. I really don't know Salesforce, what it is, how you are going to explain it to me. Okay, but your answer is really good. It's good. And it's correct. Anyone else is there? Please, please, please. Okay. Basically, we can use inner. We are asking about polymorphic query, and there is okay, no worries. Good. So, yep. Anyone? Okay, how many? Okay, we've got right there. Okay. So for everyone, go ahead and save this message that I have sent to you. This is really going to help you to understand the SOQL queries in terms of the question.
Trying to see where it started. But yeah, this will be very good.
Okay, but yeah, no worries. Polymorphic queries, yes, it is basically something where parent can be of any type. Okay, so I'm not going to relate it with some real-time examples. You will understand something else. Okay. So I'll tell in Salesforce, there are two objects, like not two, there are more objects like task, event, work order. There are multiple objects whose parent can be anything, right? So if you go to task, right, and if you try to create maybe task here, if you go to task here and try to see this related to, right, it is having the list of all standard and custom objects that we can create. right? That means this task can be related to any account, or it could be related to campaigns, it could be related to cases. So basically, now if you really wanted to get the information about your parent, okay, how you are going to get that? Like, let's say we have got a task and I really wanted to get the information about contact. So let's say I have got ID, there is a field called subject, then status and description from task. Okay, just a very basic query. I will have definitely too many records. You see here 23 records, and most of them has been created from trigger. You see here. So now here we are talking about task. Now, if you wanted to really know who is the parent for that task, there is a field called what ID, okay? And there is a field called who ID. Can anyone tell me the difference between these two, what ID and who ID? And how do you know these are the who ID?
So before I came to know, I took that understanding from you. I used to think that for which particular object it is. The same answer everyone is giving, which I saw from the but then you showed me something that.
Okay, so yeah, my way of looking at the answer is completely different. And some we said somewhere like non-living objects like account, that is what, and who is a living object like contact and lead. So basically, yeah. So Pranit, I'm sorry if I'm pronunciating it wrong. Okay, Pranit also says that human objects is who ID. Yeah, so basically, whom you're going to refer as a who, it's definitely going to be a person, right? So if it is a person, it's going to be a who ID. Apart from that, it's going to be what ID. Okay. Now we have got this what ID, which says that it is 500. That means it's a case. And who ID says that it's a contact 00003. Okay. Now let's say I wanted to have the information about who ID, which says that name or free email like that. So maybe I know that this is a who ID. So let's say if I try to say who dot name and who dot email, and maybe if I execute it, I will get the information. That's pretty obvious. The reason we are able to get this because Salesforce itself says that task can only be associated with the lead and contact as part of who, and both object has a field called name and email, and Salesforce does understand that when you say who dot name and who dot email, it actually gives you that information. Okay. And maybe if we try to have who dot title, okay, because both the fields also object also has a title, so it's also going to give you. But now let's come to what ID. Okay, now I'm going to basically get rid of this. So what we are going to do is, let's say, because now what ID can be associated with anything, but what ID for account, it has name, for case it has case number, right? So you really cannot put it here like what dot case number or what dot name, because you really don't know which object it is. Okay, what dot name it actually got for account. Okay, but it could it could be anything. It could be case number, because if the case is related to the case number, it should be case number here. You see here the name field is coming up. That's something which is really, I'll say, tricky for Salesforce. They have made this available, what dot name available for anything, but if you say maybe what dot industry, that is for account, it's not going to work. So basically, when you really has to get the information about your parent, right? Okay, a quick question. Is there any other object that supports this polymorphic query, like account, contact, sorry, we have got task, we've got event, we've got work order. any other object, does those supports polymorphic query? Like, does custom object supports polymorphic query? Okay, yeah, try to put it into the chat, yes or no. It could be anything. Please go ahead and put it. I really want to hear the response from you. Not sure. Work order item, line item in FSL. Yes, that I know, that is true. Not sure. No, I think not sure. Okay. Yeah, I'll maybe the answer is yes. I'll showcase how. But let's first talk here. Now, let's say you wanted to see ID, subject, status, description, and then you really wanted to have the information about, you know that if it is account, you wanted to see name, industry, or rating. If it is opportunity, you wanted to see name, amount, close date. If it is contact, you really wanted to have something else. Okay. So how you are going to see here? So there is a type of, I'll say keyword, which says type of. Okay. This is something like this. Now, what you have to do is you need to say type of what. You really don't need to put what ID. You need to say type of what. Okay. Then what you will say, okay, when it is account, if it is account, then return the ID, name, industry, rating. Okay. Then again say when it is opportunity, then what you want ID, name, closed date, then you want amount, and then you can check when, maybe case, then you want maybe ID, subject, case number, and use end. Okay. So it starts from type of, and then it ends with end keyword, where you have to use when, the object API name, and then the field you want. Then again, when, if you really don't want, you can get rid of this and clearly end it. Okay. And if you now execute it, it should be closed date, I believe, not closed date. That's why we got no such column close date on entity opportunity. So you can see here. But if you notice one thing, this result actually does not giving you what we are looking for. It's not giving us where are the other details. We know that these are all our accounts 001, but there is nothing ID, name, industry, rating, nothing is coming up. So what you have to do is, whenever you are trying to put polymorphic query, then you have to really use this where keyword. You will say where type dot in. Sorry, not what type dot in. You need to say what dot type. What is the type of your what field? And you say in, and you're going to put it over here, maybe account, opportunity, and then the third one is case, right? And then execute it. Now you'll see there is something on what it says that object, but if you print it in your, if you use it in your Apex class, it is definitely going to give you the result. You can see, you can print it and you can see it in your Apex class. So this is really a tricky one. I used to be like, I worked on this maybe an hour, tried to figure out why the results are not coming up here in the UI and even in the Apex class. So the reason is you have to put it into the filter. There could be a question, you say, what if we have task related to any other these objects, will those come into the picture? Yes, but like most of the time you really have to put a filter over here, because that is where you wanted to get the task information about. Now there could be a question in your interview, give me the list of all the tasks that are related to account or contact. And that is where this where comes into the picture. You need to say what dot type. It could be account, contact, or anything, right? So you're going to get these details and you're going to put into the Apex class. That's about polymorphic query. Now I talked about polymorphic query supporting by standard or custom object. Yes, there are standard and custom object So any object, if you remember, if you notice that you can create the queues on the objects. So the any object that you can create queue, right, case or custom objects, right, lead. So if you can create a queue, you can use the polymorphic query on those objects as well. How? You can say, let's say, select ID, case number, and from case. Now let's say if the owner of the case is a user, you wanted to get the ID, name, and email. If the owner of case is queue, then you only wanted to get the ID. So what you will say? You will say type of owner. And then again, you will say when it is user, then give me ID and name and email. Okay. Then you can say when maybe it is group. Okay. Then give the ID only and end it. And if you execute, where is this? Select ID. Okay, there should be a comma here. Execute it now and you get it here. Then again, you really have to put the filter here where owner dot type, and then we are using in clause to basically provide the multiple filter over here, where we will say user and group and execute it. Where is, sorry. Yep. Now you see that owner details are here. So you can easily get that. So that's about polymorphic query in Salesforce. Now let's talk about the one which is really important for us, parent to child and child to parent. Okay. So now let me give you a very basic example here. You need to really query the contact records. Okay. You really need to query the contact records, and you have to say you need to query the contact, and you really need to get the associate record as well. Like associate record, like account ID, name, and its industry and other information. So what you are trying to do here is we are saying, okay, give me the contact record and then give me its parent account information like ID, industry, name, or other information. Okay. So how you are going to implement that? So it is like contact is a child of your parent record. Okay, that is account. So now what we are saying is I need the contact information, and along with that contact I really need the account information. So Amit, I'll come back to your question. So that account information, so how you are going to do is you're going to say child to parent. You're writing, sorry, you are writing from lower level to higher level. Okay, so that is a child to parent. So, and then if I say, okay, give me the account information and also give me the contacts related to that account. That means I want account and then their child records, which is contact. So now we are going like from from top to bottom. So it will be like parent and then child. That is known as parent-child relationship. So first we will start with child to parent, and then we will come back to parent to child. Now, I really want the information about the contact, like name, email, title from contact, and execute it. Okay. This is just the simple information I've got. Maybe I can put a filter over here where email is not equal to null. Okay. So this is what we have got. Now our information, our requirement is not like only getting the contact information. Our requirement is that we really need to get the contact account, its name, rating, industry, and some other information, maybe annual revenue, right? So how we are going to get it? So as we know that contact is related to account with a field, right? And that API name is account ID, but how you find it? For this, you really need to go to the object manager, and any query, for any query, it is a, be it a master detail, like, sorry, master detail, parent to child or child to parent, you always need to object manager and quickly navigate to your child object. In our case, it is contact. So navigate it over here, go to fields and relationship, and find your relationship field here, that is account name, and open it. Okay. Now here is where you are going to get the details. So you see this field name. So whenever you're trying to do the query from parent to child, child to parent, from bottom to top, you need to use this field name. Just use this field name. Okay. Now say account dot and then put the API name of your parent object like name. Similarly, account dot ID, account dot industry, account dot rating, and then execute it. Now you will see that it is giving you the account information along with the contact information as well. Now which account it is, what is the ID, the industry, and rating of that account. So this is where you are going to write from bottom to top, from child to parent with the help of this field name. Now this is the standard object. Contact is a standard object. I have created a custom object called invoice that has a relationship with account. Okay. Now let's say I wanted to display the information about invoice, and then I also wanted to display the information about related account. As now this is a custom object, this is really going to behave completely different. So as we said, we really quickly need to navigate to our object manager and then the child object, that is invoice. In my case, it is a custom one, invoice. And then I'll go to fields and relationship. I'll open my custom field that is a relationship field called account. Okay. Now we've got this. Now what is this field name? Where is this field name? This is the one. Okay, field name. It says that custom. It is an account field name itself for invoice. How I'm going to tackle this here now? Let me get rid of this complete. I'm going to click on file, open resource. I'll find my invoice object here. Or maybe I'll query some of the fields. So I've got the invoice details. I've got the contact, I've got the account. Okay, but I'm working with account. I need the account information. And we got to know that the field name of our custom field, custom relationship is account. So we have to say maybe account. And this time we really don't need to say dot, because this is a custom object. This is a custom relationship. Okay, I will not say custom object. I'll say this is a custom relationship. So what you have to do is you have to use underscore, or this says that relationship for custom relationship. And then you need to use the other way, like dot, the name of your, the API name of your field. Like I've say name, then I've got rating, then I've got industry, and then execute it. You'll get the information about your account name and rating. So that is how it works with the custom relationship, be it master detail or be it lookup relationship. Okay, any questions so far?
Nothing as such.
Okay, now let's talk about traversing from top to parent. Top to bottom. Now this is really like this query that we executed. It says that, okay, I've got this account, but maybe there could be a account. You see here that set account demo is actually having 3 different invoice row. Now there is a requirement where customer says that give me the account, okay, account name, industry, rating, their annual revenue, and then also give me all their records. It could be like all their contact records, maybe 10, 20, 100, 200. Okay. So we need to make a query on account object, and we need to get their contact, we need to get their cases, and maybe we need to get their invoices as well, right? So how we are going to tackle that? As I said initially, right at the starting of our this parent to child and child to parent, that any query, be it a master detail or be it a parent to child or child to parent, we always need to go to the child record. But first we need to query the account record, because we really need the account information. So I'm just putting some fields here. So you really don't need to worry about, you really don't need to remember the field API name. You can always navigate to object manager, and then you can always get the field API name. Okay, I've got these 250 accounts. Now I want that for each 250 accounts, there should be a contact. Whatever the contact that each account record has, I want those as well in my SOQL query. Right. So how we are going to do is, again, we are going to quickly, first we are going to get the all contacts related to the accounts. So we'll quickly navigate to object manager, find our child object called contact. And then we are again going to open our relationship field, that is account name. This time we are going to use child relationship name. So whenever we are like going from child to parent, we are using field name, but whenever we are going from parent to child, we are using child relationship name. So just go ahead and copy this. Now in your query, before from, use a comma, put opening and closing parenthesis, and then write the query which you want, like select ID, name, email, phone from contacts, and execute it. And that's going to, you see here, for some of the accounts, I have the contacts, I can get the list of you. This is basically the square brackets is basically the indication I'm getting the list. So it actually gives you the list of all the contact records that you have related to that account. Some of the account does not have. Okay, mostly those account does not have. And maybe then you can put the filter over here, like using where clause. You can put the filter over here as well. So if you're putting the filter in the inner query, this is also known as inner query. Okay. So if you put the filter over here in the inner query, these are the only records that are going to be get filtered. And if you put into the outer query, then the account records are going to get filtered. So there is a difference between putting the filter within the inner query and in the outer query. Now, let's say apart from contacts, I really wanted to have the invoices as well. That is a custom object and custom relationship. So how I'm going to get that is, now we really need to navigate to invoice object. Okay. Then we have got, again, fields and relationship, go to invoice. And then this is your, where is this child relationship name is invoices, right? So you just need to get this, copy, and maybe let's query here. I'm going to say select ID, name is there, amount is there, contact field is also there, from invoices __ R, because this is a custom relationship field. So we really need to, this amount field is, I think, a different one. That is not sure. I'm going to remove this. Okay, there are 3 underscore basically, not 2. So you see here, I've got the invoices, and maybe some of the account, I see the list of invoices. So whenever there is a custom relationship, you really need to use __ R for both the cases, field name as well as for your child relationship name. So this is how you traverse from child to parent and parent to child. Any questions on this, these 2 concepts? So basically, okay, let me first answer the Sobit. He says, how it is possible for custom object? It is possible because custom object owners can be queue and user. So it is only possible for owners and queue, for owners only. So the way we did for case, the way you can do for your custom object as well, using type of owner, and then either it is a queue or it is a user. You can work on that. And then can't we use external ID to handle this? If you're talking about parent to child or child to parent, yes, we cannot use external ID. No, we cannot use external ID. That concept of external ID is completely different. Okay. Can we run the SOQL query on a specific user base? Here in the developer console, no, you cannot run. Because if you wanted to run the SOQL query on a specific user base, you can run in your Epis class. And for that, you have to use a keyword called with. And then there are two things. You can set security enforce. Okay, this is really going to enforce the security based on the logged in user. If I try to execute here, I'll get the error. Okay, I cannot use it. And then there is something called with the user mode. So there are two things that you can use. And user mode exactly works over here in your SOQL query editor. So, but this, you really don't want it to you put a SOQL query like enforcement here in your developer console, because as admin, you will be looking into the records, either the record is present or not. But yes, you will be putting this query in your Epis class. It is a best practice. It is recommended by Salesforce that you should always run your query with the user mode or with security enforced. Okay, there is a minute difference between both with like security enforced and user mode. I'm not going to get into the details, but you can always read the document. That's where we've got the with keyword there. So yeah, anything apart from like now any other question that we have got in terms of other SOQL queries before we get into the date filters? I don't see any question. Okay, let me know how it is going. Is it useful, helpful, or it's like I'm just talking and talking?
At least I learned this one more new concept here. Yeah, it's helpful for me. Yeah, people are saying the same. They're finding it helpful.
Okay, so a couple of things that I would like to showcase here is how we can do this aggregate query in our Epis class. Apart from that, so Aman has already showcased. So just the aggregate part that is pending here, right? So maybe I'm going to do the sum of amount of opportunities. And maybe this is going to be the last thing as well for the session. Stays name from opportunity. Group by. Okay. So I've got this query, but I really wanted to use this query in my Apex and how I'm going to store. So Apex, like Aman said that we can use like list and whatever the object name, whatever the object we are doing the query on. But when it comes to doing the query or maybe using this aggregate query in our Epis class, we cannot really use that because we cannot really say that list of opportunity like this. We cannot say list of opportunity OPP like this. Okay. There is a reason, because these are the aggregate results and we cannot really get these stored into this object that we are having. So where we are going to store is there is a class called aggregate result. So this is where the return type of your aggregate query is nothing. It is the list of aggregate result. So here you're going to store your query result, and then maybe if you really wanted to do the debug, you can have the debug over here. And if I execute it, we will see the result. And in our debug log, we're also going to get this, the records that we have got. You see the expression 0 for each records. We have got multiple records, and each records is going to have the expression 0. Why it is having the expression 0? Because whatever the sum we have given here, maybe sum of amount, and maybe let's say if I'm saying minimum of account, okay, and execute it. So what is going to give me expression 0 and expression 1? Okay, and then I've got stage name. So what basically we are doing here is, so whatever the aggregate functions you put here, the first one is going to be a expr0, second one is going to be expr1. If you want to access these details, how you can access is you can use for loop on this aggregate result. So I'm going to say AZ, and then this is my result. Okay, this is my list. So what we can do is, if we really wanted to get the sum of amount for this particular stage, what it is, so we say az.get, there is a method called get, and here you have to put what you need to say. You need to say expr0. This is going to give you the amount, and then maybe you can store it in decimal amount equal to this. But this is not going to work. This is going to give you the error. The reason is the return type of this get method is basically object. Okay. So we really need to typecast into the decimal because our result is decimal. So we need to say decimal like this. And then we can just say system.debug, and I can say amount. Now, if we debug it, you're going to get this result. So you can definitely, like, if you want, you see here now we are getting the amounts only. So if you want a minimum amount, you have to use like expression 1, like this. Okay, amount 1, maybe minimum amount. And if you want to get this field, which is group by, so what you have to do is you really have to use the API name of your field itself. And maybe this is the string. So you can say stage name, and that is also going to be typecast to string. And then you can just put like amount, minimum amount, and then stage name. And maybe I'm going to put one more debug here. That's going to print a new line. So this is how you're going to access the details from your aggregate result in your FS class. You see here now, prospecting, these are the details. Then again, we've got this, all these details are here for each particular stage. You see now if you see that we're not getting the value for our blank stage, there is no information about the blank stage because we are doing the group by stage name. So yeah, that's pretty much I would say. Yeah, there is one more thing. Yeah, one last thing is there is a tool called Salesforce Inspector Reloaded, okay, or Salesforce Inspector. That most of the people are using. Okay, so you can install it using going to your web store. Okay, like web store, Google Chrome. This is really helpful for making the SOQL queries. So, and that the name is Salesforce Inspector. There are two applications, two extensions with the name of Salesforce Inspector. Okay, so there is Salesforce Inspector. There is Salesforce Inspector Reloaded. So this is the older one. This is the enhanced version of that extension. So I would suggest to install this one. Okay, once you install, you're going to get this icon in your org. After refresh, not immediately. You really need to refresh this info, like page, whatever the page you are in. Okay, and then you will see that this is something it comes. And if you click here, you're going to see the Salesforce Inspector, and you're going to see multiple options. So for making the query, this is the one, data export. So just do the control or command based on your PC or Mac. Click on this. It's going to open the query, like a tab for you here. You can make the query. Now the best thing for this is like you can say select, and you say from maybe the API name, say account. It is really going to suggest you the API name of your object. Maybe if I type invoice, it's giving me all the object that contains invoice. I can have this custom object, right? And then if I go here between select and from, you will see all the fields are listed down here for me. So I really don't need to go to object manager, find the fields. I can select whatever the field I want. And then if I want relationship field, it actually gives you the relationship field as well. Maybe if you see here, right, you have got two suggestions. One is the field itself, one is the relationship field. And if you click here, it's going to give you what field you really want. And then maybe if you run the export, you get the result here. One trick that I'm not sure if many people knows or not, if you want to select all the fields for invoices and you really don't want it to type one by one, all you need to do is hit Control space at once altogether. It is going to type all the fields for you, and then just do the export. It's going to give you the result for that. Now let me show you again for a different object called maybe select ID, not ID, I'll say select from account, because this is going to have multiple fields. Between select and from, put a space and use control space all together, hotkeys, and do the run export, and you will see, right, you're getting the result over here. And then you see all the details. Now, if you wanted to export, you really need to share this information to someone. You can do copy CSV. It is going to copy it for you. You can paste it somewhere and then share it with someone, or maybe copy Excel format. It's going to format in the Excel format. It is going to give you the JSON format. And if you see here, there is something called account field info. So if you click on this, it is really going to showcase you the field information about that account object as well as the related objects. So that is really like, this is the one piece of the functionality of the Salesforce Inspector. It has a lot functionalities. I'm not going to dig into, because this is a completely different things.
But the 1 hour for that. So
yeah, because this really has a huge functionality. So that's how you can make the SOQL query, and this is something you can use it for making the SOQL query in your Salesforce org. Instead of using the developer console, it has the capability of putting the filter. You say Salesforce, I can see there are 3 records. So this is pretty much it from our side in this session. I think somewhere around 2.5 hours altogether. Thanks everyone. I can see there are still people, 20+ people. So I really appreciate for you being such a wonderful audience, being with us, listening our talks, and making it interactive. It really, I really feel happy for this. Yeah, now. Yep.
So the first question is from Shobit. Sometimes we use typecasting as integer dot value of, and sometimes integer. What is the difference?
See, when you say integer dot value of, you are typecasting from a different data type. It is like a string, or it is a maybe I'll say decimal, or it could be some other data type, right? Then you're saying that, okay, there is a adjacent data type and you're trying to typecast. But when you say that you are putting integer only, that means you're typecasting from a higher data type. Like object is the higher data type, that is the boss of everything within Salesforce, or even in any object. Object is a boss of everything, classes, standard, custom. So this is how it works. You have a standard and custom object that comes under S object. S object actually comes under the objects, and under objects also the classes comes into the picture. So basically, whenever you are using like integer, or maybe the class name, or maybe the decimal or a string, then you are typecasting the information from a higher data type. And when you say integer dot value of, that means there is a other data type in excluding object. You're trying to get the value for that object. That is where we have.
Okay, so next question is from Rajesh. From Pasu. Correct me if I'm wrong. Can I use Salesforce Inspector and irrespective of the user who run the query? And anyway, the record will be depend upon user OWD and its object level security or not.
Where is that question?
He has DM me, I think. Wait, I'll post the question here. This is the question.
Correct me if I'm wrong. What is this? But if you can use Salesforce Inspector to get records irrespective, who said it is irrespective? Okay, there is a confusion. Let me show you. It clearly gives me the username. So Salesforce Inspector is always running in terms of the user you're logged in. It doesn't run it behind the scene. It makes the API call, takes this user access token. So it takes my user access token, and then as I'm an admin over here, it is taking the record as per me for my session. If you are logged in, your profile is different, you have a different record access, it's going to work on that. More details, I really don't know what really does Salesforce Inspector. Does it really respects the sharing rules, or it does run in the system admin modes? I really don't know. But what I know, based on the structure of what Google Chrome extension works with, it usually takes a session ID of the logged in user. So keeping that in mind, the consideration in that mind, it actually should display the records that you have access to, not the other user have access to.
Cool. Moving on to the next question. Can we fetch related list records of any object or get the count of records in that related list of that object?
I really didn't get the
Even I
question
was
what
confused
it
with this
is.
question. But I'll post the question again. This is the
It
question.
is can we can we fetch related list record of any object? We have already seen that with the help of parent to child relationship that we have already seen, I think. And the count, if you really wanted to have, you have to take the help from aggregate query. And that is where it comes the questions, the list of questions I've sent you. You need to put it something in your effort, like some effort you have to put it from your side just to learn that part. How you can get the count, maybe a simple question, how you can get the total contact count related to an account, and then you can extend it for all the accounts. You really wanted to get the count of contacts related to the accounts. That can be done easily with the aggregate query, but you really have to do this group by, do the count, group by some field, and then do that. How can execute junction object query? Okay, how can execute junction object query? This is junction object is like just a, I'll say, terminology that Salesforce has. Executing the query is same the way that you execute the query for your other objects. Just get the query, like if you want from the parent to child, you need to go to junction object and get that information. If you want child to parent, you need to go to the child object, do the query and get the information. This is same. There is nothing else, no extra rocket science. Why Salesforce not recommended to run SQL query on the formula filter condition? Okay, so I really don't have the clear answer to this, to be honest. But the reason it is a formula field, it does executes every time there is a modification in a record, because formula fields is going to reference certain fields on sales on that specific object. It's going to execute it. It's going to calculate that formula at the runtime because you're referencing on the formula field, right? So that could be the reason that to get rid of that calculation and improve the performance of the Salesforce org, they have limited not to use the formula field, because that is going to have the calculation. Formula field is not like maybe the concept of formula field is like it's going to execute every time you load your record detail page. It's not like it shows you once, like you have created a formula field and it shows you the record information, and if you think that it's not going to calculate again, it is always going to calculate every time a record is being opened here as a record detail page. So that's why Salesforce also does not recommend having too much formula fields, because it's really going to impact the performance of your record detail page itself. And that is the reason they have limited us not to use, because the formula field is again going to calculate and it might take more time than expected, and it's going to impact the performance of the particular process, because the SOQL queries we have seen are being used in a developer console or in our inspector, but in the real time there are going to be multiple processes running behind the scenes, so you cannot take risk on increasing the time for your any process that is there. That's the reason we have. One thing that I think there was a question, I completely forgot how to write the like query in Apex. So this is simple. As Aman showed, right? I think Aman has also showed, but again, I'm going to showcase account list. Yeah, in the meantime, please feel free to put your question. Select ID name from account where name like. This is simple. You have to just put like this. The concept that Aman said is going to be same. And if you execute, maybe if I execute it over here, the account list, you're going to get the details over here and then execute it. And you will see here that debug only, you see the list of all the records. So that's simple, but sometimes it is dynamic. You have to pass some condition and all. You really have to make that work accordingly using the database class query methods.
So yeah, I can see a lot of appreciation, Amit Guru. So I would request to do the same. Like we just want to help it out. Like we are planning to come up with more such free boot camps, free webinars. So we wanted to reach out to the maximum people, and that can only be possible if we can share the words on the social media, like on LinkedIn or Twitter. So that's the kind of like the kind of appreciation that we can expect from you. So it will be good. Like it will like whatever efforts you are putting, we'll get the fruit of it. That's what would be the best thing we can do.
Not at all, Sri.
It's like you give one thing and they ask multiple things. Free bootcamp for LWC.
Okay, basically we are running LWC course, so we cannot give it for free.
Yeah.
Okay,
Again,
that's why we said. But yeah, I think in what condition aggregate query will not work is the best answer to this question is you need to know when you can use aggregate query. And that is whenever you have the aggregate function. You wanted to count something, you wanted to get a sum, average, minimum, maximum, then only your aggregate query is going to work, otherwise not. And then for this SOQL query, that has to be a dynamic one. So I can definitely tell you, maybe let's say you wanted to search something. So I'll say search text, maybe test. Okay. This is something that you've got from the system as within a method. Okay. And then you've got search text. You wanted to make it dynamically over here. So how you're going to bind it? You really need to create one param, maybe let's say like param. And you have to say, okay, use single quote or put your, based on your requirement. Maybe I wanted to check where the test is sitting anywhere. Then use plus, then use the variable name, then again use plus sign, and then within the single quote use ampersand. And then here, just use like colon like this. That is how your query is going to work dynamically for your search keyword. Like if you really wanted to dynamically search and execute it, that's going to work for you. Okay, so yeah, then there is using single quote query in causes SQL injection. SOQL, it is SOQL, not SQL. It's SOQL injection. How to avoid this? There is a method of Salesforce a string class called escape single quotes. Just use that for any filter criteria that you are using. So all you have to do is you really have to go to string class Salesforce and then use the method called escape single quote. That is the method. Escape single quotes. So you really have to get this. Maybe if I had to apply this here, I can say escape string and then I put this here and then put it over here. So that is how you're going to prevent the SOQL injection in Salesforce. Yeah, Basu, we have the Lightning course starting from May 1st, but unfortunately we have closed the registration for May batch. But yeah, keep following us over LinkedIn or Telegram. Aman has maybe shared the group to Telegram. The link to Telegram group, we are going to share the information there.
sorry, I didn't share it. I shared just the link.
Yeah. Not sure if this is a valid question or not. Can we join two different SOQL queries? That's what we did in parent to child and child to parent. That is nothing. It's a join. And if you really wanted to learn more, now I'm doing promotion here. Okay. So I go to my blog and maybe search for SQL. Okay. And this is right relationship joins queries in Salesforce. If you go to this link, I'm just putting it here in the chat as well. So if you really go here, you will see that I've covered all those like left outer join, right outer join, left inner join, right inner join, anti join, right anti join. So everything is there. So you really just go there, maybe look into this. If you have some confusion in the parent to child or child to parent, you're going to get the clear document about like clear information about this. So that's how you're going to do the join on the SOQL queries. Anything else?
We wanted to do the announcements for the giveaway, but I think this needs some time because I don't see any post yet. Yeah, please go ahead and make a post. That is the only one. Do you have Apex course? Yes, we do have Apex course. Amit, do you have, right? That you did some courses there, right? Yours?
That is a project, not actually the Apex course.
Okay.
That's a project if you really wanted to go there.
Okay. Stay tuned there. We will be announcing that course as well. Maybe post LWC, you will get an announcement about that course.
Yeah, we are basically starting a course very soon. Yeah, so yep, anything else that you really wanted to, I think you really wanted me to cover? Or maybe any question or anything, the feedback about this session, how was it?
Yeah, that will be very much beneficial if you can give us the fair feedback on how you felt the session, what we can improve. So that would be best.